We're recording.
So. Hey, yo.
Hey-yo.
Hey, yo, everybody. Welcome to the Chad Talks in the Intro Show. I'm your host, Chad. With me, as always, is Garth.
Party on, Garth.
Excuse me.
Wait, Wayne.
I like to get by now. I like to play.
Hello and welcome to another episode of this My Bourbon podcast. I am your host, Perry. And I don't really know how to get into this because we've already had a day of it, haven't we?
Yes, I'm not your host, Sarah.
No, this is Sarah, and that's Chad.
Hi. With an H, just so you know.
And Chaz.
Chaz.
Of It's Bourbon Night. And we just got done...
Not too long ago, doing the
I guess about an hour.
The Bourbon Bowl.
the Bourbon
The
Bowl.
first annual Bourbon Bowl.
Which you can find over on youtube.com/It's Bourbon Night.
That's correct.
It was super.
It was something.
Parentheses, it's super.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to be the...
Referee and moderator, and basically all around do-gooder. Tiebreaker.
Yeah. The ref that was only required on one play.
He did throw a few flags about your unsportsmanlike conduct.
Well, what are you going to do, though?
Well, you could not be unsportsmanlike, but
That's
then
not
it
gonna
wouldn't be
happen.
a show.
That's
So
Yeah. Nah.
So we're doing something a little different. We're doing a little bit more low key this episode, but I still wanted
No
to.
kidding.
I wanted to try to, still have a little bit of fun with it, whatever. So we're gonna wind up
We'll make
doing.
a day of it.
We're gonna do a turkey flight, a turkey 101 flight, so we can kind of look at
Turkeys can't fly. Wait, turkeys can fly? I forget. Is that penguins?
Chad,
turkeys.
turkeys cannot fly.
Yeah, I don't think they can.
Okay.
Penguins also cannot fly.
Ostriches?
Cannot fly.
All right.
You're just naming a lot of birds that
They can't fly? All right. Fine.
So we're going to be comparing some Turkey 101 from some different eras. And I did just get word from Dave Jennings.
Did you? Just now?
It's a 2011.
Oh.
So it's actually younger than you
lame.
thought it was.
Lame.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
Chad.
no.
But still, it's good. So what we're talking about is this handle
It's
of
still
turkey.
8 years older than
Yeah.
we thought it was.
Uh-huh.
I mean, well, then Turkey is now. So.
The question stands, do you still want to throw that into the mix?
What was our third one here?
06.
Nah, I don't think
Too
so.
close? All right.
What's our middle
Really?
one?
I do 11? Yes.
14.
That's 5 years.
Well,
I'd like to
we got
compare.
a 14 here in the middle. Do we want to go to an
Okay,
11?
so what are the ages that we have? Just
So,
lay them out for us,
right to
me and
left.
the audience.
Right to left,
Mhm.
we have 06.
Mhm.
In the middle, we have 14.
Mhm.
And on your left, you have 2018.
Okay. So we have 2006, 2014, and 2018. That's quite a jump from 2006 to 2014.
I'm going to leave this one up to Chad.
We can put an 11 in there. I mean, I love this.
I personally
Sure.
think that
One.
we should, just to see how things changed after 5 years before literally.
Sure.
Well, I mean, I guess it's 3 years between them, but
Let's
that's
do
a
it.
lot
I'll
of time.
I'll grab
That's
3
almost
more glasses.
1,000
Okay.
days,
Sure.
right?
That's a lot of days.
It's a lot of days. It might even be 1,000 days. I don't know. I can't do math.
Bourbon and math do not add up.
365 times 3 years is what? Help me out here. It's definitely over 1,000. I know that.
Something like that. I don't know. So, we're not really doing a flying blind this episode because turkeys don't fly.
I like what you did there, Perry.
Thank you. But I did have my little suicide of turkey barrels from the pick that I was on. If we want to
Ooh.
pass the glass around.
Pass the glass.
Pass the
Pass the glass.
glass.
Let's play
Instead
it.
of flying blind, we'll play pass
Pass
the
the
glass.
glass.
Like slap the bag, but it's a little different in that it's not wine.
How do you slap? Oh, okay. So you're trying to
Wine.
get the last few drops of wine out of the...
You take the box of wine
Yeah.
and you take the bag out of it and then you pass it and you slap the bag.
And you cut open...
Slap
the-
it a boss?
No, you don't cut it. You just
Oh, you just slap it. Okay.
well,
Gotcha.
it just
That's good
like
thinking.
makes it more. I don't know how to explain
It
slap
makes
the
it
bag.
more.
It just makes it more. Just do
Yeah.
it.
So anyway, this is what we're tasting right now out of the one single glass. This is my little suicide bottle
I thought
from
it sounded like My Little Pony, but My Little Suicide Bottle.
My Little Suicide.
My Little Suicide Pony.
That sounds like a good emo band.
That's
from
terrible.
The,
My Little Suicide
Pony?
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, it's My Little Suicide Bottle from my turkey pick that I was on.
This is my suicide bottle.
Yeah.
There's your podcast.
Great. Everything was barrel proof.
Mm-hmm. It's really good. It tastes turkey. I mean,
It tastes
it's
very turkey.
quintessential turkey.
Yeah,
I like it.
so-
I like it a lot.
I figured that would be a good way to kind of
Plenty love.
get our palates warmed up for.
Like we're not thoroughly stretched.
I mean,
I mean,
acclimated to what we're about to.
I've had
do.
a cool off period, but I don't know that.
now you're in that haze.
Yeah,
period.
I'm in that period where it's like working
Like, you
out.
know-
Like I could do another workout. It would be decent, but I'm not gonna have as much energy.
Except right now, like you've had drinks, pizza's on the way.
It's true.
So I'm
like-
very excited about
Yeah.
the pizza.
That is my tradition of Super Bowl Sunday since high school or maybe even before, was to have pizza on Super Bowl Sunday, and it's actually the biggest pizza ordering day of the year.
Wow,
is
Chad,
Super
you're
Bowl
so
Sunday.
unique.
Pizza, is what I call it.
Well, I just want to.
That's the most unique tradition I've ever heard of.
It's almost like putting a Christmas tree up at Christmas.
Do
time.
you also put a Christmas tree up at Christmas?
Wow.
Do you eat a turkey at Thanksgiving?
Wow.
All right, let's stop
I
bagging
bet
on
he
Chad.
carves pumpkins on Halloween.
Sarah with an H. Is
He
definitely
waves
in
the flags
house.
on 4th of
Sarah
July
with an H
and
is-
looks for eggs on
is
Easter.
mean. Just mean.
Okay. Well,
She's mean.
If you give me a heart on Valentine's Day, I'll slap you.
All right. You get nothing on Valentine's Day then.
and
Mm.
like it.
Then you get nothing.
I want a hot dog.
fine.
I want a hamburger.
I bet you go to a baseball game and order peanuts.
I bet you do.
I don't do that.
Cracker Jacks.
I bet you do.
I'm a hot dog.
No, I order nachos in a baseball helmet.
I order a large beer and
and
a
pay
pretzel.
$20 for it.
yes, I do.
Yes.
And that's all I eat and drink the whole time. A large beer and a pretzel.
That's fine.
Well, I just want to say we don't know who won just yet, but whomever won the Super Bowl, congratulations.
Well, we
to
know
you.
who won the Bourbon Bowl.
Oh,
We do know who won the Bourbon Bowl.
and it was
It's
Chad
By 2 points.
by
That's
2 points.
that's true.
Yes.
He did win by 2 points.
And what a bourbon bowl it was.
What a Bourbon Bowl. It was one for the books, I feel like.
Well, it'll be
Especially since it
the
was
first,
the first
one. So
There you go.
next year I'm coming for you.
All right, come on.
Next year I'm going to
It's
win
on
that
the
coin
record.
toss. Whereas I'm pretty sure it's where it's all at. Is in the coin
oh,
toss.
come on.
Oh, wow.
Like you didn't get the Booker's 30th.
Cause you, we're not even going to go there.
Mm.
You took my Pikesville.
Which didn't win.
You took my Belmead cast ring.
Which didn't win. So you're welcome.
And you took my Hops to Go Russell's Reserve pick.
Which did win.
Yes. I could have been 1 point closer.
You could have if you'd picked them.
And if the order had been different, who knows how Perry would have lined them up.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my god.
Oh, my God. Okay. Anyway. Yes, Perry?
Well, I just
It's
want to.
Perry's podcast.
I just want to ask you guys,
Do we
what
hate
it-
each other?
What have you been drinking?
what have you been drinking recently? Yeah.
Yeah. a lot of
I assume we can say that because everyone's 21.
a lot of bourbon. What specifically have we been drinking? We drank the Old Forester Rye, which I know you did on your live show
I did
the other day.
Yeah. How'd you guys like it?
Well, we got an episode coming out Friday,
Mm.
so I won't say too much, but I will say that it surprised us.
I was
And I'll
kind of
leave it-
expecting that.
I'll leave it at that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, oddly, we've been drinking a little Makers.
We have, which
yeah,
is
but for
odd.
a specific reason.
For a very
though.
specific reason, R&D, some research and development.
Yeah.
Um,
An episode, yeah.
well, there's a little show out there called Top Chef.
Don't know if you heard of it.
Don't know if you've heard
It's
of
in like
it.
its 29th
Yeah,
season or something.
And they did a little
Is it now?
recipe
Yeah.
called Jiggle Juice.
Jiggle juice.
Jiggle Juice.
Jiggle juice.
And so
For
we were
those
like,
at
let's
home,
get to the
that
bottom.
was jiggle juice.
Jiggle juice.
Y'all
Jiggle
both
juice.
kind of went
Jiggle juice.
Jiggle
Jiggle
juice. Jiggle juice.
You have to jiggle until you wiggle. I don't know.
Until you get the juice. Is the
Yes.
juice worth the jiggle?
I
Find
think
out.
it is.
Find out. on
But
our
you'll find
episode.
out on an episode soon because we're going to put that out there.
Drink more bourbon cocktails.
Strange, though, we've never said we've been drinking Makers. That's not a sentence that
That's
has ever
very
come out
odd.
of my
I
mouth.
mean, cast strength, sure. But regular makers? No. But we're finding use for it.
We are finding use for it.
Finding
It's
use for it.
interesting.
And I feel like Makers is a mixing bourbon.
Sure.
There, I said it. You know,
it has its place,
it does. It does. It has its place.
just like everything else. So, anyways,
Great,
Barry, what
great,
are we
great
doing
marketing.
today?
What have you been drinking, Perry?
Well, I've been drinking.
I've been drinking. I've been drinking.
It's less of a Beyonce song and more of I had a fun little experience, but I did a Google Hangouts with my patrons the other night, and we did a cool little flight of 4 of the top distilleries in Kentucky. So we went Buffalo Trace, we went Heaven Hill, and then Turkey, and then Jim Beam.
Nice.
And it was really cool just to compare all of them, but it was also just nice to be able to put faces to names and be able to chat with people and have a good time and not have to be semi-professional, I guess.
Isn't that nice though, where you can have like a friendly? Not that you can't do it here, but like you try to be more even-keeled here. Whereas
Right.
like when you're in a small Google Hangouts group, it's more of just like meeting up with your friends at a bar after work and having drinks.
And that's
it's
exactly
just
what it
like
felt
that.
like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice.
Absolutely.
And, that's definitely going to happen more in the future. So if you want to be a part of that, patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast is where you can actually become a part of the conversation. And you can become a part of the community as well. And you can do fun things like talk to us on Friday nights for 3 hours, which is exactly what happened. And
Wow.
it got to the 3rd hour, and I was like, "Oh, we've been on for 2 hours," and they go, "No, we've been on for 3." Like, how did this happen?
Were there like
Anyway.
bathroom breaks in there?
Nah, not for me.
Wow.
Oh man,
I was
Very
sitting-
holding it.
I was sitting for a straight
time
3
flies
hours.
when you're having fun.
Lucy did call me in the middle of it, but
And was like,
that was
"Are
my only
you
break.
in a
Where
safe
are
space?
you?"
Do
Yeah.
you need help? Should I come rescue you? No, those are fun though. It's so fun that you do lose track of time. You get caught up
Yeah.
in it because it's just a nice experience.
Yeah, it's a hangout.
It's different too from going to a bar where you're like, "Oh, I have to get home. I have to go
Right.
take care of
or
the
like
animals
I need
or
to buy
whatever."
another drink or whatever. Like there's
Right.
none of those time distractions that take up a few minutes of your time here
Yeah.
and there, or like concerns. You just grab the bottle that's next to you, or you already know what you're gonna drink. You're already at home, so it's great.
Yep.
You can do whatever you want, and everyone's just open and chill.
Well, and I mean that's why I like, having people over to the house, too.
Yeah.
Is just we're not having to compete with other people's conversations. We're not having to talk over one another or whatever. It's just a nice, intimate place to share a drink and have a conversation. But anyway,
And you get to
So-
choose the music.
that too. Yes. So Sarah asked what we're doing today. And what we're doing, as I mentioned before.
We're watching the Super Bowl. That's what we're doing.
Well, yeah, but we're doing a Turkey 101 flight. And I originally said, well, let's do this blind. And Chad said, oh, geez. And so I thought, well, maybe not. I figured maybe it's a better experience to know what's in our glasses so that glass by glass we can actually talk about it and say, this is how things have changed over the years.
Yeah.
So left to right, we have 2018, we have a 2014, we have a 2011, and an 06.
Wild Turkey 101.
All Turkey 101. So this is
That's 404 proof.
I
wow,
don't-
that's some good math, Chad.
is that how that works?
I don't think that's how that works, Barry.
It's 110% not how that works.
Yeah.
So I figured what we would do is we start with today's turkey because that's the one that we're most acclimated to and we know the most about. And then we can kind of start working our way back
Back in time.
and see.
Gonna go back in time. Do you remember that SNL sketch? Probably not.
Oh, I thought you were doing Huey Lewis in the news.
Well, sorta, because they did the Back to the Future soundtrack, but it was an
Yeah, they
SNL
did.
sketch with Michael J. Fox, and he was in an elevator, and I think it was Kevin Nealon, and he was like, "Hey, you're Michael J. Fox." Like, yeah, I am. And they're waiting for the elevator to go, so they're standing there, and he's just like, Kevin Nealon, gotta go back in time. And then Michael J. Fox like, yeah. And there's some, quiet for a while. Gotta go back in time. And I don't know. You just have to watch it. You just have to watch it, but it's pretty hilarious.
That was
it's funny.
Chad's explanation of a reference
Yes.
Wow.
there. Okay, so
Riveting.
Anyway,
so this first turkey,
And so, am I correct in saying that we're not? Are we going backwards or are we starting?
we
at
are
the
going
beginning?
starting.
backwards.
Yes,
We're
we are
going
going
backwards.
backwards.
Okay,
Yes.
so we're starting with
This
the
is
2018,
current.
Starting with what you know.
Day. Well, last year's turkey.
Yes.
which was literally like 45
A month
days ago.
A month ago. Less than 45 days.
And there is that rumor going around.
Yep, that's turkey.
Well, yeah. Not necessarily rumor, but, according to Bruce Russell, last year's turkey actually had some older product in it, too. There was
That's
some
an interesting rumor.
tidbit.
Tidbit, yeah.
There was some 10-year.
Because the
turkey
thing
in
is,
there.
and I hate to say this, and we touched on this a little bit recently, but we've talked to Eddie Russell one-on-one about this,
Yeah.
and he's been like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. There should be no difference between a 2010 Wild Turkey 101 and a modern day 101. Like, it's the same.
Well,
He said back
y'all
then.
Y'all are crazy.
Yeah, he was like back then. Even back then, I was blending in. I think he said 9-year-old,
Something like that.
9 or 10-year-old.
And I believe that that's true.
Yeah.
That they are using blends to
But-
achieve a similar taste every time.
Does that
Sure.
mean less
Well,
has been blended now?
My question is that they are blending to achieve the similar taste every time, but as time has gone on and demand has gone up, has there been less of a older, more mature, more well-rounded? Not that I'm saying that Wild Turkey 101 tastes bad now. I still think it is a steal for $17 on the shelf.
Well, it's the same reason that it's not age stated anymore.
Right?
Right.
They just can't keep up with the demand.
No,
of
and
it.
that's fine. And I think they've done a great job of making it taste great no matter what. But I have a hard time tasting this, like 2011 next to a modern day and been like,
Tastes
is
exactly
it
the same.
I don't know if it's exactly
No.
the same.
And I think we need to establish, too, that's one of the reasons why we're doing this, is because
Mm-hmm,
it does seem like there is some variance, but the fact that Eddie straight up said there should be none, I mean, we're going to kind of put that to the
I
test
worship
here.
the ground the man walks on. So I'm
Well,
like,
there
I
should
want to
be
believe
none,
every word
Right.
you say.
but there is.
Well, and maybe they intend. Well, I mean, it's just like blending anything. People blend to make Buffalo Trace.
I
But
mean, it's
is it exact science every single time? Can you prove that it's the exact same experience every time? No, you can't.
And also, like, if you see the same person every day for 5 years, you're not going to notice them getting older.
Or
but if you
fatter.
see them or fatter, but if you see them on day one and then you see them on day whatever 5 years is, you're going to be
You
like,
notice.
"Oh, you've aged." And
That's
I feel
true.
like the same
That's
could
a
be
really good point, Chad.
with
Yeah.
tasting turkey. Like day to day, you're not going to month to month, even you're not going to notice the difference. But 1 to 5 years or more. Yeah, but there's also so many other factors.
It's true.
The type of wood that they're using to make the barrels, the seasons of that year.
You know what I've always wanted to ask is like,
so many things.
how does I don't even know how to say this, but in the environmental change mindset, how does that affect the trees that the bourbon
Sure.
is being aged in? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there are so many things that be going on, but like, I totally agree. I mean, like, you see me every day and you don't notice that I'm getting better. So,
Sorry, better?
so like, I mean,
She
I
said
guess
better, not older.
I said better for a reason. Does bourbon get better with age? Yes, up until a certain point, and
Do
I haven't
you?
reached my threshold yet. So shut your mouth.
Okay.
Anyways,
Fair
Well,
enough. Fair enough.
To that point, too, a lot of these trees are hundreds of years old
Mm-hmm.
that they're cutting down to make into barrels.
here's my question: is when will we run out of hundreds of years old trees to make these barrels?
Oh, that's a depressing thought.
So depressing, right? Are we going to come up with synthetic wood to age whiskey in?
No, it'll just.
No, you don't know at what
It'll just
point.
be a 10-year-old tree.
People are going to
instead.
criticize me for this statement, but that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm just
It's Fern Gully.
questioning what's
No,
going on.
I-
It is Fern Gully,
Yeah.
which is basically Avatar,
It's Avatar. No, Avatar.
Which is
Fern
basically
Gully.
Pocahontas,
Yes.
but which is basically Fern Gully.
which is basically
Gotta get that
history,
unobtainium.
Not.
Fern Gully is the
We need to
best.
make barrels out of unobtainium, but we can't attain it. All right.
Anyway,
I'll shut
there's a
up.
point behind this, and I think that we've kind
Long
of hit
since
it,
forgotten it.
but I don't know.
2014?
Yes, sure, why not?
Okay. 2014 Wild Turkey. Smells the same.
I think it smells a little sweeter, actually.
Disagree. I'm with Perry. It smells a little sweeter.
Yeah.
I mean, besides it smelling sweeter, it smells the same.
And I will also say
Yeah.
that I think that the 2018 smells a little bit more like yeasty, like bready.
Mm-hmm.
And then, whereas I think that the 2014 picks up more floral and more sweetness.
Then there's the also like scientific. I don't know what the answer is.
Je ne sais quoi.
Je ne sais quoi. What happens to a 4-year-old bottled bourbon? What
In a
happens to an
bottle.
8-year-old bottled bourbon? You
When
know,
it sits on the shelf?
Like as it sits.
for
Sure.
8 years, what happens?
I don't know that we
I don't
know
know.
that answer.
What happens to the cork? Does the cork influence the bourbon somehow? Does that little bit of air?
Does a screw top effect? Is that keeping it a
Right.
little bit more authentic?
Did they
and-
make glass different
right.
back then? You know, there's just
These two
so many.
do not taste the same.
I don't think they do either.
They're
Sorry,
close-ish?
but they don't. They're close, but they don't taste the same.
But the 14 has a honey quality to it.
it sure does.
A sweetness to it that
Don't
the,
get me
the
wrong.
18 doesn't.
They're both good.
I think the 18 has more rye.
I think so too.
I also think the 18 has a little more spice, and that the 14 has a little more sweetness and just like a touch more depth.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Now things back from like the 70s, I think
That's
we can actually give a reason why that tastes different, and that's because they didn't have to blow out their pipes so often as they do now because of
dirty, Chad.
EP. Blow out the pipes.
Blow
No,
out
but
pipes.
like literally, like the
Gotta
regulations
go home and
today,
blow out
like
the pipes.
you have to steam clean the pipes. They steam clean the pipes like every single day.
Yeah.
But back then they
Or
didn't
like
do
every
that.
week or something. I don't know
Whatever,
what
they
it
didn't
is.
have
Yeah.
that technology.
Yeah, so
back
you know,
then. So that
we've used
delicious cast iron
Mhm.
crust.
Exactly, cast iron skillet. We also use the analogy of like cooking on a grill, like the things, the
Right.
meals that you've cooked before are with you there in the grill. So like, of course you can't have things taste like the 70s because it used to be going through a pipe that was like 6 inches less of a pipe because it had all this funk in it, you know?
Which honestly sounds disgusting, but was
Delicious.
delicious.
Like, and that's another conversation that we unfortunately cannot necessarily have right now. It's just because we don't have access to that.
We're not
Quote,
EPA
unquote,
But like
agents.
we,
agents.
but
Yeah.
honestly, like we have tried a turkey from that era
No,
before.
yeah, and I have
Can one-
as well. But I'm just saying that
I think we
like,
can all 100% say that it's a thing.
Yeah.
Just like how much of a thing.
Oh, it's a thing.
You know?
And like I am willing to concede the fact that yes, it was different, but how different was it? I'm not ready to put forth that argument,
Well,
Sure,
and it-
unless I can
yeah.
try it back to back with these.
which is exactly
I
why
can't
yeah.
say, but knowing the way I tried it, the day that I tried it, that experience was like a whole
Anything,
new world.
anything from that era, like we've had the Jim Beam that we split that was
Yeah.
from that era. Like anything from that era, I just feel is so much more heavy on the caramel.
It has a lot of character.
Yes, it's just it's big in that undeniable way.
Yeah, and it just makes you wonder what. I mean, same thing we've been talking about all night. What was it that changed between now and then? I mean,
Yeah.
sure, yeah, maybe it was the pipes,
It could be
but
a myriad of
I
things.
think it's a combination of things. Of
Yeah.
technology making things easier,
Regulations,
but not necessarily making things better. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like
no,
it became
totally.
easier, more reliable, more you can measure it and track it better than ever.
Mhm.
But does that necessarily mean that it's better? And I don't know if that's true.
Right.
Better for them, better for profits,
yeah,
I'm sure.
Sure.
Better for the consumer's taste buds? I don't know. More
And-
consistent? Yes.
And I don't know what the note taking process was like back in the day of what people were tasting or anything. So
I think it was more, especially for turkey, just from hearing Jimmy, is it good or is it not?
right,
It's like
And
he wasn't going, I detect faint, spice of a flower
There's
that
this
grew
light
on the east side of a
daffodil
hill.
note.
I mean, you listen to the Dave Pickerel story.
Yeah, he's
about-
like, I didn't
yeah.
put any of that shit in my whiskey. It's
Exactly.
like, yeah, it's like caramel, vanilla. Those are the two notes he talks about.
Mhm.
But can we have a moment for Dave Pickerel?
True that. Yeah.
What a delight to
Mhm.
to
He
have
was a
met him and
great
shared it.
person.
He told an amazing story about being on. To me, just him and I just got to sit down and have a drink one on one at OBC Kitchen, and he told an amazing story
I've
about
not heard this story.
how he was on a a plane that was going down, and how he like stayed calm and his whole thought process through the whole entire thing. And like I would attempt to tell it to you now, but it would just be a disservice to him. Like I cannot. This
Wow.
man was equally terrifying and hilarious in the same sentence of his description of this experience. And like I have a picture on my Instagram, but it's like way, way back. Just the most delightful human.
Yeah.
Like such a wonderful person to share a drink with. He's never met a stranger, I guarantee you.
Oh no, absolutely
So,
not. And I mean,
anyways.
even the brief moment that I was able to talk to him and just say, "Hey, I love what you're doing. You're a great person, and you've done so much for the industry at Bourbon and Beyond." I mean, just 30 seconds maybe of interaction with him.
Yeah, and that was so soon from when he actually passed away.
I
Like
mean,
it wasn't
months.
very long after
Not
that.
even,
No. Not
like-
even months.
Like less than
Less than two,
Or-
I feel
Less
No,
like.
than two- yeah, because it was in November, wasn't it?
September to November. Yeah, like 3 months maybe. 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
It was
Anyway,
really quick.
So
Let's drink some
besides that
bourbon.
bummer.
Okay, so we're moving on to the 2011.
But you were saying that Dave
yes.
Pickerel had said something.
well, he was telling a story about Jimmy, and
Oh, and he didn't put all those notes. And so that's
Yeah.
what I'm curious about too, is that when they made these, how far back does the art of tasting notes go? And I'm very curious, like, when
That was
the
the point I
first
was making, yeah.
instance? I would like to know the first recorded instance of such sophisticated tasting notes, is what I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
so I'm just going nose to nose with the 11
Can you
to
hear
the to the 2018. They are so vastly different. I mean, in
Even
whether
the
it's
11 to the 14 is a little different.
But yeah, 11 to the 18 is vastly
really different. Yeah.
Oh, there's
Wow,
so
it gets so
much
much
more
more-
depth to the 11.
Yeah. Just like baking spices on the 11 and
Uh-huh.
just
Dark caramel and deliciousness on the 11.
wow.
I'm happy we did it this way so that we can kind
Oh,
of
for
like
sure.
fill in the gaps from.
Yeah, I
you
think
know,
going forward, you would just feel disappointed with the 18
Sure.
when you got there.
I freaking love this. So we have a handle.
We have two handles.
Our one contribution to this flight is the 2011, and we have a handle here of it that we've been working on for a little while, and it's about it's a little over halfway down. And I just found out tonight that it actually is a 2011.
Yeah.
I kind of thought it was a 2010, but that's
Sorry,
fine.
Chad.
Oh, that's fine. But I
Still 8 years
freaking
ago, so-
love this bottle.
We both love it. It's like one of our go-to treat yourself, like
Ugh.
weeknight treats.
Yeah.
You know, it's so good.
hard day at work. And
Yeah.
You
Right,
come home and
because you
you're
don't
like,
always want to go for like the treat yourself treat. We have a
Right.
lot of those, but like I'm not regularly
It's like
gonna
the
reach
working
for the
man's treat yourself.
right. I'm not regularly gonna reach for the Booker's 30th
Right.
every
no.
week, but I would reach for this.
Yeah.
And that Booker's 30th is about
Oh,
it's about halfway empty.
Almost half. A good thing we have another bottle.
Yeah, man, oh man.
I'm so glad we have another bottle of that.
This is it's turkey, but it's turned up turkey. You know, it's just like
This is some turned turkey.
this is turned turkey
Oh my gosh,
101.
Turnty.
Even the way
Turnty
it,
101.
the way it coats your mouth
Yeah.
versus the 2018. Like 2018, modern day turkey 101. Great. Amazing. I'm not
Love it,
arguing
yeah.
the value. I'm not arguing what it brings to the table. But this, in its day, was a steal. Can you imagine getting this level of like the viscosity, the way it coats your mouth, that depth of caramel and spice? Can you imagine?
I mean, in 2011, this was
I feel
probably
like I'm
what about
describing some
25
like
bucks
pornography or
something.
something.
Probably.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm talking very sexually about this 2011, but
yeah.
Well, I think about it in like people talked about turkey in general as rot gut, or they had to shoot it
which is
at,
depressing.
at frat parties or whatever. And I'm like,
when? Who?
Well, before you cut your teeth, yeah, to a bourbon newbie, a 101 is
That's a
not
lot.
recommended.
Unless you're
Well,
Samantha
no,
Luce of Harry Potter and the Drunk Podcast,
Right.
you do not start with Wild Turkey 101.
right.
I'm just saying, like, all of the missed opportunities to actually enjoy this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I'm like, oh, I feel like it was wasted on these these people,
These
and
Utes.
everything, but what's a Ute?
These kids.
These what? I don't want to reach these kids.
My point just being that, you know, what was lost during that era that, you know, we can't go back to.
Well, I think, you know, for college kids, it's like, hey, I want to get something kind of extreme. I'm going to go 101 proof because back then you weren't spending more than $20 because you didn't have it to spend. And you're like,
Right.
oh, 101 proof. It's going to get some people messed up.
Bang
Like,
for the
try
buck.
this. Ooh, you know, and it's like, unfortunately,
Well, I can honestly say I've never shot Wild Turkey 101, so I don't actually know what that feels like. But I imagine that it burns.
I think shooting
When you
any
shoot
bourbon.
any-
There's a
Anything?
first for everything. So, Sarah, we have something we'd like to introduce.
When you shoot anything, it's going to be aggressive. I'll shoot this right now. I got about a 3/4 of an ounce right here.
Don't do it.
I'm going to do it just because I want to know what
All
it
right,
feels like
she's
to
gonna
be in
do it.
college again.
All right.
All right,
Do you want me
here
to put
we
it in a shot glass?
go. No.
Okay, here she goes. Oh, and it's gone.
Okay, well, she
Oh,
kind of
that's
made
not
the.
so bad. What a bunch of babies. That's delightful.
This reminds me of the last
I'm
episode you
sorry.
guys were on, where you're
But-
like, you walk up into a bar and you're like, yeah, Turkey 101.
Take a shot of like some very old Barton as your first.
Right.
that-
Or
or like-
or Jim Beam 4-year. You know?
Oh, do some of that.
I mean, I know it's only 80 proof, but it's
Just
only
go ahead
4
and do
years
some
old.
Jack Daniel. Let me know.
Okay,
how
there you
that
go.
feels.
Uh-oh.
Pizza's
here. Can we pause the podcast?
Yeah, we may as
Time
well.
out. The dog says time out.
So that's a pizza. Pizza's here.
Pizza is now here, yes.
Pizza's here, but we're gonna power through.
We're going to
Pizza's
finish out the
here.
flight. We're going to take a break. We're going to take a pizza break.
Pizza break.
Then we're going to
finish
come
out the
back.
flight.
We're going to regroup, and then we're going to do our review for the episode too.
I don't know if
So-
you know, but it's my tradition to eat pizza on Super Bowl Sunday. I also love Uggs and anything pumpkin spice latte.
Okay, so
original.
let's move on to the 2006.
Oh, let's do it.
Here.
If the 11 was that good, I can only imagine what the 6 is going to be like.
I have to say that I can honestly say that the 11 was my favorite so far because I drank all of it. And I did not drink all of anything else.
Yeah, but you shot the 11.
Ooh, that's true.
Did you forget that fact there,
That's
Sarah?
when you know that you shot something, is when you forget that you shot it.
I will say, I want to point one thing out because Chad seems to be going back and forth a little bit. This 06 is a fresh crack. This is the first
Yeah.
time that it's been poured or open.
Yeah, it kind of
Kind of like the 11 a little bit more.
from the
I
nose.
think I do too.
Yeah,
And the taste.
the 6 is
But
kind of more similar
but-
in nose anyway to like the 14 or 18.
That 11 year, or not 11 year, I'm sorry, that 2011 has been sitting about half full for what,
Oh, but the taste
6
though.
months? The taste is good, but I think I like the
Taste is really good.
2011 a little better.
I think I do too. But the back half of the palate,
Is
once it starts really ramping up, is really, really
Oh.
nice.
I think if you let this
Oh.
2006 sit open for a couple of months,
Yeah.
It'll
I
be
think
really
it would.
nice.
I think it would be
Yeah.
at least equal to that 2011 or kick
Oh.
its ass.
I agree. Right now,
Right in this
the
moment.
11 is the winner.
But it has had so much time to open up.
Yeah, I feel like the 6 has got tons of potential sitting in it.
So much potential.
Yeah.
Like, I want to revisit this. Can we, Perry?
we will
Can
do
we?
that.
Can we?
Of course. Why
Will you
not?
be our friend then?
The 6 is
We
so
weren't friends before.
the 6 is very very easy. Like it's very
real
I think so
smooth.
too,
easy.
yeah.
It's very easy.
It's almost for me. Let's see.
A little too
between
easy.
14.
You know what's interesting? Out of all of these so far, I've not gotten this note, but I am just now picking up like a tobacco note
On the 6?
on the 6.
I hear you on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's as I'm going from that weird little moment as you're actually taking the sip, where you're still smelling a little bit of it into the actual
I
palate.
get it. 100%.
Like it reminds me of a cigar, and it makes me want to try this up against a cigar. I think that it would go really well with it.
So I will say, I just tried the 2006 up against the 2014, and I feel like that's the best match that I've had so far. Except I do feel like the 2006 has that element that you were just talking about with the cigar and like that tobacco-ness.
Yeah,
tobacco-iness. I don't know really how you say that.
Tobacco-iness.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But
Tobacconess.
that the 2014 doesn't have, but I feel like that's the closest matchup that I can do right now.
Right.
And outside of that factor, which the 2006 has.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the 2006 has the taste of age to it because that tobacco is like also accompanied by a leather note. So I think they were just blending in older stuff back then in 2006. You know, I mean, the bourbon boom was just about to start, you know. Well, I mean, you talk about distillation date way before the bourbon boom. So, you know, they were probably, well, so they would have been combining the barrels in 2006. So I kind of take that back. But, you know, it hadn't ramped up yet. So they were like, well, we got a lot of this, you know, whatever it is, let's say 10-year or whatever. Just speculating, obviously. So I feel like it tastes like it has some older things in there, but what it's missing, especially when you compare it to the 2018 definitely has the most spice of any of these.
Yeah.
It's got the rye. It's got that hey-yo in there, you know?
It does. It really follows through at the end with that spice.
Yeah.
Whereas the others are more, no, I wouldn't say delicate. I'd just say they're more subdued.
Mm-hmm.
With that, but I also think they're a little more balanced throughout. So whereas that one is spice heavy at the end, it's a little sweet at the front. And I think that the others are more like significant throughout.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
Like full.
I want to know what Perry's doing over here.
Well, I just
We're looking at
made a
him and
little
we're like, are you
suicide
making a
of
suicide? What
all
are you
four
doing?
of them
Wow.
because the reason that I was most inclined to do it is because we were talking about all these different little elements.
A little generational
So
thing.
some of them were really sweet, some of them were really spicy, some of them had what we kind of expect from a barrel influence. So I figured, why not see what it's like all together?
Sure.
I'm in your boat, Gary.
All right, let's
I'm
do
doing
it.
the same.
Welcome
do
to
it.
my boat.
I don't have an exact
Perry
amount
boat.
of each one left, but I'm about to do the same
She has
thing.
none of the 2011.
I had 3 drops. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
3 drops.
I will say, it makes it a lot more even keel.
Yeah,
Ah.
I'm sure.
It totally evens out everything.
And, you know, that's what they're trying to do every year
Yeah.
that they make Wild Turkey is, like, take these barrels that have the outliers and make an even keel batch, whether it be small or otherwise, you know?
But, like, I don't know if I'm happy about that or sad. I mean, if you get one of the outliers that's amazing, then you're happy about that. But if you don't get one of the outliers that's amazing, are you
Right.
sad?
Nose-wise, I feel like the 18 is taking the lion's share of it.
I kind of
the
agree.
nose, I agree.
Because I have
Of this-
recently found there to be a lot more almond or almond butter on Turkey 101.
Oh, but that's like an elevated 2018 is what that blends
Perry,
into.
that is spot on with the almond butter.
Right? I mean, it's just been
For
so
all you
characteristic.
new health kick kids out there like me, I'd 100% get your almond butter.
Put some almond butter in an avocado.
No, don't do. Oh, you saw that on TV today.
I did. It's a trend.
I see what
It's-
you're saying there, Chad, though, with the elevation.
Yeah, it's like a kicked up a notch 2018 version of Wild Turkey
Yeah.
101. Yeah. It's just like the best bottle you could buy of 2018.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it actually reminds me. I mean, I think back in July or August, I can't remember for sure.
That's good.
I did get a bottle that was really,
Just
really similar
exceptional.
to this.
Yeah.
I mean,
those
what-
are the best,
Yeah.
but also sad.
So that's what I'm saying, though. Would you rather have the opportunity to get like a really nice bottle once in a blue moon, or would you rather
It'd
have
be
like
more average
a
across.
really nice average bottle, like the most mind-blowing bottle of Wild Turkey that you've ever had, every once in a blue moon,
Or more dependable.
or a more dependable, great bottle, good to great
So here's the way that I
on
think
a weekly
about it.
basis. Or a monthly, or however often you drink, because
I
weekly
am-
sounds really bad.
I'm regularly buying Turkey 101.
You
So-
gotta, because it just goes away too quickly.
It does. It's a daily drinker.
Right, but my point though is that if the core of it is there, the core value, the core quality is there, I'm okay
The mission
with it.
statement.
Right. But exactly though, like if it's what I'm used to, that's fine. If it has a little bit something different to it, I'm not gonna mind it.
So you're saying having the best in a Blue Moon Wild Turkey isn't going to make you sad when you go back to that even keel Wild Turkey.
So I'm gonna put forth this analogy the same way that I did barrel picks with the Bourbon Boys guys. I view barrel picks and honey bottles the way that I do Elseworld comics.
Okay.
So I enjoy that venture off into, an alternate universe, this alternate story that could have happened, but is separate from, the standard DC or Marvel or whatever.
A what if.
Right. But I like being able to come back to the home.
Mm-hmm.
Earth 1,
mm-hmm.
Earth 616.
616, yeah.
Right.
Prime, Earth Prime.
Exactly. My point is that, if I'm able to, check that out every once in a while, that's fine. I enjoy that. But I still feel comfortable with the normal offering.
Yeah. I feel you.
Of something that I enjoy.
I feel you. Yes, you'd rather have that once in a while surprise of, ooh, I got a honey bottle. And then next time you buy a bottle, oh, we're back to normal, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because normal is very acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I feel you.
I would.
That's better than averaging it out and stepping up every bottle by like 10%. Like if you had to take that honey bottle and disperse it amongst all, and it raised it like 10% or whatever the percentage would be, it would be better instead of that to have that one honey bottle that's like, ooh, this one's really good.
Yeah.
And then next week you're like, okay, back to normal. Mm-hmm. But I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you.
It just doesn't bother me if I'm... Because, my daily drinker is a daily drinker for a reason.
Sure.
It is a value. It has a high quality.
Yeah. Now, I'm sorry.
No. I'm just saying that, it has a specific flavor profile or home to me that I am comfortable with. Mm-hmm. Whether it's Turkey 101 or JW Dant or Buffalo Trace or whatever, it is a space drinking wise that I am familiar with, and I can enjoy and accept it regularly.
I feel you. But when it's not a daily drinker, when it's something that you invest more money into, say like a Noah's Mill, that we've had that honey bottle, and then after that they've been diminishing returns, and you're like, damn it, this is $50.
Yeah.
It's $50
to keep going back.
That is tough.
Well, but hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys didn't realize that bottle of Noah's Mill
was an exception.
Exactly, until you were done with it and you moved on to the next one.
Yeah. And if we had, we would have saved some.
Exactly. Exactly.
We didn't know we were just babies.
But as a daily drinker, if I get a really, really good bottle of Turkey 101 every now and then, I am ecstatic about it, sure, but week to week, month to month, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, it's just like the Eagle Rare example.
Uh-huh.
Harlan Wheatley said, every once in a while you'll buy a bottle of Eagle Rare and it will be a single barrel because someone tasted that barrel and they said, this is Eagle Rare.
Exactly.
Eagle Rare 10-year. But you won't know because it's not indicated on the bottle because they took the single barrel away, and it's a small batch bourbon now.
Because a single barrel is the smallest small batch you can.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
But sometimes they're like this
Technically,
is Eagle Rare.
Yeah.
Like not all.
This isn't, but when you combine it with those 3 barrels over there, now it's Eagle Rare. So he said sometimes you will get a single barrel of Eagle Rare, but you won't know it.
Right.
So it's the same thing. It's like some is just great. Pizza?
So yes, I just want to say I think that we've come to an understanding that Turkey 101 is amazing
and pizza is good too.
And pizza is good too. So you won't know because I'm going to edit it, but we are going to take a short break to enjoy some pizza.
Please enjoy this hold music.
Recoup. Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, so we'll
Say
be
meow
right
one more
back.
time.
Meow.
Well, we're back.
2/3 of us.
2/3 of us. Sarah's tapped out, but that's okay because it's been a very long day.
It has.
And somehow we are still drinking bourbon.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm curious, what is your all's favorite turkey expression? Let us know on social media. Hit us up at My Bourbon Pod so you can be sure to let us know. We are moving into our review segment of the podcast, and we're sticking within the turkey family, but still kind of venturing out a little bit past what is quote-unquote normal turkey. So this is part of their Whiskey Baron collection. This is Bond and Lillard Batch 2, which came out towards the end of last year. 100 proof. Gosh, Chad, I don't really know a whole lot about this. What is the story behind the Bond and Lillard?
Bond and Lillard was a label that I can't remember the exact story. They either went away due to prohibition, or they may have were around after prohibition, but just didn't survive after it. But they're a forgotten label that Campari has brought back.
Is this the one that came out for the 19 whatever World's Fair? Yeah, the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair.
So that's
on the back there.
That's what they had to recreate this. They didn't have a mash bill. They didn't have anything like that. They had tasting notes basically from the World's Fair, and that's how they went about recreating this. So it's basically an approximation
So
of what it might have tasted like.
I think it's interesting that they went in batches for this. Like, wouldn't you think that if it's, a certain flavor profile or tasting notes or whatever, one batch would be enough?
I don't know. Maybe. Who's to say what it tasted like? Maybe
Sure.
Maybe this one is if it bordered more on this side of things, or whatever. But yeah, it's interesting because whenever they put out the first Whiskey Baron series,
2017.
Yeah, it was Bond and Lillard and Old Rippy.
Yeah.
And Old Rippy was not continued. Bond and Lillard was, and they've come out with a third one, which now I can't remember the name of it.
WB Saffel.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Which we haven't had yet, but looking forward to having that soon.
Yes, we'll have that as well. The nose, to me, is kind of general turkey, or standard turkey, I would say. Like, there's...
It is, and the interesting thing about it is that Jimmy and Eddie didn't play any part in this. So yes, it's Campari,
Right.
Yes, it's Wild Turkey, but they weren't consulted for how they would put it together.
It still has those turkey components to it.
Yeah, it's
I would say,
turkey barrels.
Yeah.
Yeah, it. I don't know. If anything, I think it's kind of similar to the modern day 101, but in a different way, almost in more of a. How to describe that? It's almost kind of like stuffy. Or
Stuffy.
Yeah, it's that. I don't know. Somewhat. It's been boxed in.
1 week since you looked at me. Sorry.
No.
I got you off guard with that.
No, totally. I don't know. It's just kind of like, sort of, I don't know, stuffy. It's just kind of stuffy smelling.
Like it doesn't have the clarity to it,
Yeah.
I guess.
A little cloudy, maybe.
Yeah. I could see that, but I still am kind of finding something. There's like a fall quality to it. Something kind of.
Yeah, if I had to
know.
put a season to it, it'd be around Thanksgiving.
Yeah. You comparing with the Turkey 101?
Yeah, it's missing the sharpness of the 101.
Okay. The reason that I'm picking up that folly quality is because I just washed my hands in your bathroom.
Oh.
And the soap is scented.
There you go. Yeah.
So all of my nosing notes have to come from me putting it on the table.
But I do kind of get like a dressing type of
Yeah.
note.
There's something
You know?
apple-y about it, like a
Appley or chivey.
mm.
You know?
Okay.
I don't know. But it's there. It's a
I'm
nose.
really trying not to influence my
Yeah.
my flavors by picking it up.
Hmm.
But
I
don't
get
know.
a note of pizza. Oh wait, maybe that's just
There's
my
some
hands.
ranch in there as
Yeah.
well.
Mm.
I don't know. We'll find out.
Well, ooh, I get some like some pear on there. Pear bear.
Pear.
Yeah. Some pear, maybe some apple peel on the
Yeah.
on the end. On
It's
the finish.
really, really sweet.
It is sweet, like cooked pears,
Mm-hmm.
cooked peaches. Maybe it's peaches.
The brown sugar, it's kind of popping out to me as well. And
Brown sugar. It's almost like a. I mean, sticking with the Thanksgiving theme, it's almost like a sweet potato casserole because it's got like
Yeah.
like the kind of like that sweet potato, which can kind of I think maybe be in the ballpark of like a pear or a peach, but it's that cinnamon, that cinnamon brown sugar type of
Right.
type of thing on there that makes into a casserole.
And I'm kind of picking up now that you bring that up as well. Like I'm finding something similar to that toasted marshmallow. That kind of I don't know what you do with your
Well,
sweet
I don't
potato
put
casserole.
marshmallows in it, that's for sure.
Well, you're really missing out then. But
But I can get where you're putting that down. Like it's that sweetness. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
It's interesting. It's man, it's so sharp. It's so
It really is.
sharp. It's really sharp. It's like
Is it sharp?
the
Chad?
initial palate's like, okay, cool. And it's like, whoa, slow down. What's with the knives? Like, the knives.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting specific
It's
like
like it's-
lines on the tongue.
Are you getting like down like there's two specific lines down your
Yes,
tongue?
two
Yeah.
lines down my tongue.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is happening?
Yeah. No, I totally get that.
Wow.
And it's so different from any turkey product
Yeah.
that I've ever had.
And I think that's the difference of not having the two master distillers touch it.
Well, it's a fair point. It's unrefined. I think that's that seems to be kind of the general.
Yeah. It's non-elevated.
Yeah. I'm not finding any finish on it either.
Yeah, it's almost like the palate just keeps escalating to this point, and then before you realize it, it's done and there was no finish.
It's like you took a sip of like an overly carbonated drink,
Yes.
and it just keeps fizzling on your tongue.
And then it's gone.
Exactly.
It just erodes away.
Yeah. There's nothing on the finish.
Mm-hmm.
Which I mean I don't know. Maybe we should try this again when we've not had barrel proof
So
after barrel
much.
proof and a lot of bourbon and everything.
We've had some time.
But yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think we're well enough acclimated to say this is how we feel about this particular bourbon. But I'm just kind of indifferent about it for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know if I could say, oh, it'd be good in a cocktail or good.
I feel like it might be. Hard
I
to
just
hard
don't
to tell.
know.
It's really punching through.
Well, sure, but is it shining in the way that you want it to when you're looking
Does it
for
shine bright like a diamond? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Is it poking through the way that you want it to
Right.
when it's when you're looking for a spirit forward cocktail or mixed drink or whatever? Because
yeah.
I would say it's not. And I honestly, this seems like, and I of course don't know anything about whether or not this is true, but I feel like this could probably be a good bourbon and Coke bourbon.
Possibly. I mean, Might be a good mixer. I don't know about a cocktail bourbon, but yeah, maybe a good mixer.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of you know how McDonald's Coke has a real specific flavor to it?
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of that.
It's like it has the whispers of turkey. It tastes like a bad barrel pick of turkey. You know, like someone who was just off the mark.
Yeah.
Like I can recognize that this would come from wild turkey, but it was like an unexperienced picker picked it. You know?
I think I know turkey.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, it's all right, but
It's fine.
it's not the best.
No. Well, I guess we better put it through the ringer then.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So we here on the show have a review system of nose, palate, finish, and price. Each category is out of 5. And then we tally everything up for a total of out of 20. And then you should know whether or not you should buy this bottle. By the way, I want to point this out. This is a 375. This is not a full fifth.
Yeah.
Of bourbon. So
it's a half of a 750.
yeah,
Basically.
So this is a
$100.
$50.
It's $100 fifth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
50 at a 375.
Yeah.
So I hate when this happens. Like you just know. You just have that feeling like it's not going to go the way that you kind of wanted it to. But I feel very middle of the road about the nose. I mean, I went a 2.5.
I did also a 2.5.
Yeah, like there's just nothing that is standing out to me, but at the same time, nothing that I'm upset with.
Yeah.
It's just, it's there.
Yeah. Palate. I think it's the palate is really all that there is. So I gave it a 2. I don't think it's as good as the nose.
I did too.
But I think it's there, and it's one of the only things
Yeah.
that's there. So yeah, I gave it a 2.
And I gave the finish a 1.
I got a 1.5. I mean, I am getting the spice of it lingering, but it's missing everything else basically.
Yeah.
So I got a 1.5. I could see a 1 as well.
I mean, I went with a 1 because there is nowhere else for it to go.
Yeah, that's true.
The spice and the alcohol, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's virtually no hug.
Yeah.
There is no
And what's the proof on this guy?
100.
Wow.
It really doesn't drink like it, though, does it?
No, it doesn't.
No.
Price?
Price, though,
I gave it a 1.
I gave it a 1.5.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's, as a collector's item, I think it's kind of cool. But at the same time, it's a pint for, if you're just collecting it, it's just going to sit there.
I mean, I think I recognize the collectability more in the version 1 than I do in the version 2. So I kind of took that out of account in the price, and that's why I just gave it a 1. Like if this was we were drinking Wild Turkey 101 all this episode, which is around, we've said, a $16 bottle, 16 to 17 to 22 depending on where you are.
Yeah.
But let's just say a $17 bottle for a fifth. If this was a fifth, it'd be $100. I mean, I just can't give it anything higher than a 1 because of that. When you take collectability, with it being a second edition, not so much a big deal. I gotta give it that 1.
It's
I think
rough.
1's generous. Honestly.
I gave it a 7 out of 20.
Yeah, we flip-flopped in the last 2, but we were the same on the other ones, so I also gave it a 7 out of 20.
It's just, there is, I don't know. I don't feel like there's anything truly redeeming about it to warrant the price point, to warrant the collectability of it. I mean, sure, it's nice to have, just to say, oh, I've collected this set.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to drink it,
Yeah.
I just don't feel like it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's just not worth your time.
I agree.
So
I agree with that.
that kind of sucks. But you know what doesn't suck?
Tips and bits.
Tips and bits. Our recommendation segment of the show.
Uh-huh.
So, Chad, what tips and bits do you have?
My tips and bits would be for a show that came out today on YouTube, which is bad lip reading. So they did another NFL bad lip reading, which is always a treat. So I feel like I may have recommended bad lip reading before,
Potentially,
but you know, just to reiterate that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So I went back to yesterday the Buffalo Trace Distillery for the first time in a few months, and you know they were like, "Do you want to do a tour?" And I was kind of iffy about it, and then like as soon as they asked, I was like, "Well, I'm here." So I went along for the Buffalo Trace tour, and I gotta say, I mean, no matter who you have, whether it's Freddie Johnson or Patrick or Jimmy or whomever, I mean, it is always such a great experience. And they're pouring more for you now than they used to.
Yeah.
So at the tasting at the end. So definitely go and check that out if you are in or around Frankfort, Kentucky. So
yeah,
that's really about it for me. This was
I like it.
kind of straightforward to the point episode here.
Yeah, a more chill back end of the podcast.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, I think that about does it for us, though.
I think so too.
Chad, where can people find y'all on the social media if they want
It's
to?
actually really easy. It's all at It's Bourbon Night. So
You went full on like
radio
after midnight
announcer.
radio DJ
Yeah,
voice.
well, news on the hour. No, Instagram is the main place for the social medias, but also Twitter and Facebook at It's Bourbon Night. Patreon.com/It's Bourbon Night. Our Amazon page, Amazon.com/shop. That word was shop. /It's Bourbon Night. And did I say everything? Did I say Patreon? Yeah, Patreon.
Yes.
WhiskeyAmbitions.com for merch.
Does Sarah have anything to add?
Snooze.
Okay, fair enough.
ZZZ.
If you want to follow up with us at My Bourbon Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, would love hearing from you all. If you have questions or comments about the show, about us, whatever we're doing, please be sure to hit us up. Patreon.com/My Bourbon Podcast for as little as $1 a month. That really does help us out. You get exclusive content like bonus episodes every month, or occasionally, if we're feeling like it, if I'm feeling up to it, Google Hangouts, where we apparently go for 3 hours and we just chat and drink bourbon and have a good time.
Mileage may vary.
Bourbonshop.threadless.com to find all of our apparel and merch. Yeah, let's see. What else? 5-star rate and review on iTunes, please. That really does help us out. Helps other people find the show. Tell your friends about the show as well. And, I was on It's Bourbon Night recently.
You were?
Yeah. Not just the live stream that we just got done with, but the Uncorking that just came out this past week.
WLW and George T. Stagg.
And people were either really ecstatic to see that we did that or not. Because it was things that they could not acquire. And sorry.
Yeah, well, you know, it's always a trade-off. We always try to keep the balance with the things that you can get, and then some episodes with, you know, more of the unicorns.
Sure. I figured this was a fun way to go, hey, 2 things that are supposed to be really good. But
yeah,
anyway.
totally.
That about does it. Chad
Yeah.
and Sara. Thank you all for being on this week.
Thanks for having us.
Of course.
Pleasure to be here.
I will see you next week, but until then, I'm Perry, and this is My Bourbon Podcast.